And hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weebit Podcast. I am your host, Christian Renteria. This is the Weebit Podcast, where we talk about the big movie news items of the week. We'll spotlight one of the big trailers that came out this week, and we will talk about the movies that are out in theaters and streaming for all your viewing pleasures. Let's just get right into it and talk about that spotlight trailer that I was mentioning earlier, and that is the first trailer for the long-awaited adaptation of the video game franchise Borderlands. Trailer dropped, and I'm gonna fully admit it. I'm not gonna. It's not like it's I'm guilty of something. I've never played the games. I've always kind of wanted to play the games. I always knew about the games. I knew they were very popular. I knew they were a massive hit, and I knew this movie has been in the works for a while. I think it's actually also probably been finished for a little bit. I know the release date got pushed back a couple times because of it, and I just, we finally, it was one of those movies where I was like, is it going to come out this year? I don't know. But it did, and it will. Obviously, it will. And did it yet? It will. So we got the first trailer this week, and it looks very, very colorful, bombastic. Just kind of has, people are already kind of comparing it to the Guardians of the Galaxy because it has that kind of similar vibe to it. Even kind of the general idea of the movie is very Guardians of the Galaxy like vibe. The trailer had, of course, a big oldies song to it, and we just saw a bunch of action. So it looks very much like that. Again, knowing very little of the games, the world that we see in the trailer, also very colorful, very bombastic, very out there, and it seems like the movie is going to pay very somewhat close homage to it. I know there was some problems, and I forgot to look that up immediately, but I remember reading a story how I guess the script wasn't something about the script, and I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was like the movie was going to be different from what we expected, and then there was rumors that Eli Roth was taken off reshoots, but I think that kind of got cleared up because he was doing Thanksgiving, so he couldn't do the reshoots. But so there's some behind the scenes stuff on this, but this movie has been long anticipated. For those who don't know, Borderlands, the video game, and the movie will follow a group of bounty hunters, pretty much, who are in search of a big treasure. And the group that we follow are outlaws, mainly. Not necessarily bounty hunters, they're outlaws. I misspoke there. But they're outlaws. Cate Blanchett plays the main outlaw that we will follow, the leader of the group. Her name is Lilith, and she looks very colorful. Again, I haven't played the game, so I don't know. Kevin Hart's in there. He's playing Roland, for those of you familiar with the games. Jack Black will voice Claptrap, which is a robot. You also have Ariana Greenblatt in there. Jamie Lee Curtis is in here as well, as playing the role of Tannis. Edgar Ramirez is playing the villain. You can see him clearly in the trailer. So yeah, this has a very, very out there vibe. Very, again, kind of similar to Guardians of the Galaxy, where people have been comparing it to that. But it's going to be kind of its own thing, a little bit from what I can assume. And it just, I don't really know how much to say because I haven't played the game, so I don't really know how close it compares to it. Trailer wise, it looks interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of Eli Roth. I think I've said that many times in the podcast. I do think, though, when he goes away from horror a little bit, it kind of works out. I mean, the only real time he's walked away from horror was A House with a Clock on Its Walls, which coincidentally also starred Cate Blanchett and Jack Black. And I thought that was actually pretty good. So this doesn't look like Eli Roth at all. When you're watching the trailer, if you don't know that it's Eli Roth, you wouldn't think it's probably Eli Roth, but it is. It's directed by Eli Roth, so I don't know how I feel. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with the movie when it comes out. It is scheduled still to come out later this year. I believe it's coming out. If I can, I didn't write it down. Yes, it is coming out August 9th. There you go. I did write it down. I just need to scroll down a little bit on my outline. But yeah, it's coming out on August 9th. I look forward to it. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, moving right along, and something that made everyone very excited, Emma Stone is in talks to reunite with her favorite and Poor Things director Yorgos Lanthimos on the 2003 South Korean fantasy black comedy remake Save the Green Planet. The original revolves around a young man who captures and tortures a businessman who he believes to be part of an alien invasion. A battle of wits ensues between the businessman, the young man, and his devoted girlfriend, and a private detective. This movie was a hit amongst film festivals when it came out. It won a lot of awards. The English language remake has been in the works for years, reportedly. And at one point, the original directors and writers film, or the original director and writer of the original movie, Jang Moon-hwan, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Apologies if that's not how you pronounce it, was going to direct the remake himself. Now those duties, of course, have moved on to Lanthimos, who, like Stone, is nominated at this year's Oscars for Poor Things. So this would be a nice reunion for them if that would be the case. Reports do mention that Stone is in talks for a supporting role. So it might not be the girlfriend, but another character. I haven't seen the original, although I want to now because it sounds rather interesting. So I don't know how big the role of the girlfriend is. Either way, Stone and Lanthimos have proven to be a good team together. Another big name attached to the movie is Ari Aster. Yes, the director of Hereditary, Midsommar, and Beau is Afraid is producing the movie. He's been attached to the movie, I believe, since the remake was originally announced, which was back in 2020. So that's pretty big. Filming is expected to start this summer, so it's definitely going to move fast in terms of casting. You got Lanthimos in there, you got Stone in there. I am only going to assume that this cast is going to be as crazy, and that Lanthimos is going to bring his very unique touch to the already crazy sounding premise of the movie. Moving on, Universal has another big name director in talks to direct their next Jurassic Park / World movie in Gareth Edwards. This comes after David Leitch left the project over creative differences. David Cope, the writer of the first two Jurassic Park movies, wrote the script, with Steven Spielberg coming back to produce through his Amblin Entertainment banner, and Frank Marshall also coming back to produce as well. Universal is dead set on filming the new movie this summer so they can make their July 2nd, 2025 release date, which they set themselves earlier this year, or I should say, earlier this year, last month, I guess. It's still February, so last month, or earlier this month, rather. So they wanted someone that could get quick, who was available, and who has experience working with big budgets. Enter Edwards. Edwards is known, of course, for his indie breakout Monsters, which got him Godzilla, which, of course, has went on to make a billion-dollar franchise in the Monsterverse. He then went on to direct Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Very, very good movie. Also went on to make a bunch of money, and then last year he gave us The Creator, which, if anything, he made an $80 million budget look like $100 million, $100 million plus budget. So yeah, I think we're in for, at the very least, a good-looking Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie. Now, again, this is a new Jurassic Park movie. I keep saying Park and World because when it was first announced, they called it a fresh take. So the characters from World, like Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, are not expected to return. Neither are the original trilogy's cast of Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. That said, now with the director in tow, especially, or at least possibly in tow, he's not officially set. He's only still in the talks. Apparently, when he had conversations with the studio and Spielberg and Marshall, they were very taken to his approach. So that, unless he leaves for creative differences too, I'm only going to assume that we'll get some casting announcements very soon, especially if they're going to make that summer shooting date like they want. Of course, they could move back the release date, but we'll have to see on that. And Edwards is a really good choice. I think he's a really awesome choice to direct this. And I mentioned when the David Leitch story broke, which, of course, when I released that podcast, literally the day I released it, it was announced on the news that David Leitch was no longer going to direct it. But when I mentioned with David Leitch, I was like, that's a very odd choice because it's not something that I assume that he would do. But with Edwards, he obviously knows monster movies as well. I mean, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, whatever you want to say, it's a dinosaur movie. Dinosaurs are monsters, so he knows how to handle those movies very, very well. And with a good, clean budget, and I'm assuming Universal's going to, throw a lot of money at him, and he's going to use every dollar to the greatest effect that he can. Because again, even though a lot of people didn't like The Creator, I think we can all agree that The Creator was one of the best looking movies last year. And he knows how to make an already real place and add effects, special effects to it to make it look even more grander. which I think is very, very cool and very, very awesome. And he did it with Monsters, he did it with Godzilla, he did it with Rogue One, and, even though, a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff with Rogue One, but he did it there, and I thought that was very cool. So I'm all on board on the Gareth Edwards directing Jurassic Park take. I don't like that Universal is very headstrong about getting the movie out as soon as possible. I think they could have taken a break. Obviously, the last movie wasn't met with a lot of fanfare, so I think they think that they need to, do another movie so they can right the wrong. But I think if you've taken a little break or you're not so headstrong about, filming this movie as soon as possible, I think fans will appreciate that more too. But Gareth Edwards is a very, very cool choice. And I very much like that casting decision that they made. Final movie news item, at least at the time of this recording, and this is probably one of the biggest, really big movie news items of the week. Very big, ambitious news at that. Sam Mendes will work with Sony Pictures and Apple to produce and direct 4 different movies, with each focusing on the 4 members of the Beatles. That's right, we will be getting a movie about the lives of Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. McCartney and Starr, along with the families of Lennon and Harrison, have granted Mendes and Sony their full life story and music rights to the films, which is a very big deal, a very tremendous big deal, especially considering the Beatles and the legacy that they have. Now, Mendes will tell interconnected stories, one of each of the band members' point of view, while also, I'm assuming, following the lives, of, dare I say, again, the legends that we know today. So it's an interconnected story, all of them with their each point of view, which is very, very, again, very, very ambitious. And I think to sell that idea is out there. Reportedly, Mendes pitched this to everywhere, and Sony won out in the end. Mendes even pitched it to the families of Lennon and Harrison, along with Starr and McCartney, and they all reportedly loved it. So Mendes obviously has something here, which I'm sure will get Beatles fans even more hyped, that the families and McCartney and Starr were all like, yes, give it to him. Here's our life story. Here's our music rights. Have at it, which I think is just amazing. Writers are being locked down for the films as of now, and everyone had some sort of quote when the news broke saying how excited they are, how ambitious Mendes' take is on the approach. So again, this is a pretty big deal. Now, every member of the Beatles has a very unique history and one deserving of a movie, and the fact that we're getting one of each member is huge. I keep saying it, but it is. And I like the Beatles. I like their music. I have plenty of songs in their playlist. And I think I'm actually more curious about the approach of this, because it said there was going to be an interconnected story told through all their point of views. It's not clear on what that story is, obviously. Everything's still, very early on. So is it going to be, obviously, thoughts going to my head. Is it going to be when they broke up? Is it going to be a little bit before then, the last tour together? Again, that's what interests me more about having 4 movies. 4 movies that are coming out in theaters. These aren't going to streaming. These are going straight to theaters. I'm sure we'll get a little biopic-y in there, but the concept is what's getting to me. And I don't know, but when I read the news, part of me thinks that the movie will end up maybe a little bit like Steve Jobs, the Michael Fassbender one, although the movie is set in 3 different time periods with 3 different launches. But I don't know, when I read that news, my mind went immediately to the Steve Jobs kind of concept. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I don't know if that's what they're doing. If they do that, then hey, either way, that's cool. But either way, I'll be there opening weekend for all those 4 movies. Hopefully they're good. Obviously, I think, they're not going to make these movies. I didn't think they're going to be good, but hopefully they're good. Of course, we have other Beatles projects, properties like the famous and very well-regarded documentaries from Ron Howard and Peter Jackson. So until 2027, which is when the first movie or movies, again, they didn't say if all movies were going to come out the same year. I'm assuming they'd probably come out in the same year. I mean, you can hit, all 4 quadrants of the year with a movie like that. I think that'd be interesting. And which movie do you release first? Like, who gets the first movie? Who, gets the last movie? That'll be interesting as well to see how they do that. But these movies are coming out in 2027, so you can watch those documentaries, obviously, if you need your Beatles kick for movies. And Mendes, a solid choice. This is his lineup: American Beauty, Road to Perdition, Jarhead, Revolutionary Road, Away We Go, Skyfall, Spectre, 1917, 1917. And last year's movie, his last movie that he did, rather, in 2022, which was Empire of Light, which not a lot of people liked, and I haven't watched it yet. But Mendes is a solid choice. That is a lineup right there if there ever was one. So more power to him if he can knock these out of the park, because he's directing all of them. He's producing all of them. He's directing all of them. I'm assuming he'll have some say in the writing process of all of them as well. So yeah, this is going to be really, really cool. And that's it. At least that's at the time of this recording. This is all the movie news items that I have for you guys. So let's move on to the movies that are coming out in theaters and streaming for all your viewing pleasures.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, so let's start off with the movies off on streaming. First on Netflix, Mea Culpa. This is the new movie written and directed by Tyler Perry that's coming out, like I mentioned, on Netflix. An ambitious criminal defense attorney that, in her aspirations to be named partner, takes on the murder case of an artist. Trevante Rhodes from Moonlight and The Predator and Kelly Rowland appear in the movie. I didn't know anything about this. I didn't even know Tyler Perry had a new movie coming out, and here it is. It's on Netflix, Mea Culpa, for you all that want to know. On the 28th, I'm doing this early because obviously it's just coming out in the middle of the week. Code 8 Part 2. This is, of course, the sequel to Code 8, which took everyone by surprise and fire. So there you go. That's going to be on Netflix on the 28th in the middle of the week if you're interested in that. So those are your streaming movies. In theaters, you have the re-release of Tenet coming out. Christopher Nolan getting on the bandwagon of re-releasing his movies. Obviously, Tenet came out literally right during the pandemic. And not a lot of people saw it, or not a lot of people got a chance to see it, or if they did, they just, were more concerned about something else instead of watching a movie. So he's re-releasing Tenet in theaters. I don't know if there was another reason for it. I honestly don't remember. I know he's re-releasing Tenet in theaters for everybody to go watch. So there you go. And we got two new movies, Ordinary Angels, inspired by the incredible true story of a hairdresser who single-handedly rallies an entire community to help a widowed father save the life of his critically ill young daughter. The movie stars Hilary Swank as that hairdresser, Alan Richardson, who most people will now know as Reacher from the Prime series, which is very, very good. If you haven't watched that, I highly recommend that. He's playing the father. Nancy Travis is also in the movie. So I saw this trailer for the first time, I think it was last year, and I totally forgot about this movie coming out. And then I saw the release schedule. I'm like, oh, what? I actually said, what is that movie? Why does that sound so familiar? And then I saw it and I was like, oh, it's this movie. It looks okay. It looks fine. From the trailer though, when I first saw it, I was like, this is going to be a different movie than I think it is. Cause like when I first saw that trailer, I was like, Hilary Swank's going to be a bad guy? Like, is he trying to steal something from somebody? But no, that didn't turn out to be the case. So I don't know what it was. It's just the trailer made it look weird. But there you go, Ordinary Angels. And then the second new movie coming out this weekend, Drive-Away Dolls. In the search for a fresh start, Jamie and Marion embark on an unexpected road trip to Tallahassee. Things quickly go awry when they cross the paths of a group of inept criminals. This is the new movie written, or co-written, I should say, and fully directed by Ethan Coen. Yes, of the Coen brothers. He's going solo, Ethan Coen, and he co-wrote the movie with his wife, Trisha Cook, herself having written and directed 2 short films, and of course was an editor for some of the Coen brothers movies like The Big Lebowski, Barton Fink, and Old Brother Where Art Thou. They're teaming up for this. Looks very good. The cast, Margot Qualley. I always mispronounce her name, and I am ashamed that I mispronounce her name because she's a very good actress. Geraldine Viswanathan. Again, I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that wrong. Bernie Feldstein. I can't always forget how she pronounces it. Bill Camp, Coleman Domingo, Pedro Pascal, and Matt Damon also co-star in the movie. This looks very good. This is another one. The trailer came out last year. I think I saw the first trailer for this in front of Asteroid City. I think that's where I saw the trailer for the first time in front of this. So this one also took a little bit of time to come out. Probably affected by the strikes going on. They just wanted to wait, and they're releasing it now. So this looks very good. Very interested in this. I'm gonna go watch this. Definitely gonna go watch the re-release of Tenet, and then Ordinary Angels for anybody who wants to watch that as well. And then again, streaming wise, Code 8 Part 2, which comes out next week in the middle of the week, and then Mea Culpa on Netflix, which is the new Tyler Perry movie that he wrote and directed. Those are your releases this week. Again, February, January, just kind of slow. Not a lot of releases. It will definitely pick up next week. Of course, Dune Part 2 rather comes out next week, and that will be the talk of the town, already the talk of the town, but it will be definitely more of the talk of the town when more people get a chance to see it. And we'll obviously talk about that next week. So there you go. That's the podcast, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I very much appreciate you guys always listening. The anniversary podcast is next week on Tuesday, the 27th, and will come out then. And I also, of course, have a February catch-up of movies that I did, kind of similar to what I did with January. Those will be all new movies. I have Lisa Frankenstein in there. I have Madam Web in there. I already recorded a little bit, and I admit I got a little angry. So that's on there. And I have a couple other movies that I think I'll have also in there as well. But Lisa Frankenstein, Madam Web, those are the two main ones for the February catch-up podcast that I'll talk about. That will be also released sometime next week as well. But anniversary, 8th anniversary on there. It's not kind of a full episode. It's kind of more of a retrospective, kind of what it turned into just because of timing and everything. But I very much appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. Very, very much thank you for listening. And I will see you guys next time. Be good people. I will be going out of town, so this podcast will be coming out a little early. Obviously, you probably noticed that it came out a little early because I'll be out of town this weekend in beautiful sunny LA. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast again and again. And be good people. And as always, go watch some movies.
Whoop whoop! Yeah! Give it up! Movies!